goes back about 800 years. About 800 years ago, this area was, Native Americans that inhabited this area were called the Salado Indians. And one of the trademarks of the Salado Indians that differed them from some of the other tribes was their unique way of living in canyons. They lived in cliff dwellings, and they built these cliff dwellings out of stones, rock, and mud. Many of them are still standing today with surprisingly plumb walls and roofs. Many of them are intact. A lot of them aren't, but many are. And they're very special places. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. They're very special places. I've had wonderful fortune of being able to visit some of these sites around the state of Arizona. There are some that are right up here in the Superstition Mountains, and to the north and east of us here in the Sierra Anchas Wilderness, there's a lot more. Hi there, welcome. So I wouldn't tell you I'm a spiritual guy, I wouldn't tell you I'm necessarily a religious guy, but there's something about these places that makes them very, very special and very unique to this area of the country. So this first song is called Whisper on the Wind, and it's an attempt to sort of capture that feeling that I have when I visit these places. If you sit real quiet there, let the stillness wash on over you. May begin to realize some things you never thought you knew. And if you listen close enough, there are stories that you can hear out there. From the echoes in the rocks, a fleeting spirit passing through the air. Now there's a whisper on the wind, whisper on the wind, ancient whisper on the wind, and it's gone. Spring of 1870, Colonel Stoneman took to task. Drive Apaches from the land, make the white man safe at last. He would build a road, carry horse and man up through the mountain pass. This is how it all began. John Sullivan was a soldier. He was working on that grade. When he found those silver nuggets, he spoke not where they lay. He thought that he'd return one day, mine that silver ore, but there seemed no end in sight to the great Apache War. So he sold his story to a man for a pair of boots and little more, with the promise to be on that claim with the other four. Those 4 men found the silver, they were quick to file the claim. But on that piece of paper, there only were 4 names. Now out across the desert lies an old graveyard, a place long forgotten, a place that few would regard. At night in the darkness, spirits dance and sing. They'll share with you their story about the curse of the Silver King, about the curse of the Silver King. Was called the Silver King, its name was apt it seems, for in a short time the four men all had wealth beyond their dreams. John Sullivan walked away with nothing to his name, no credit for his discovery, no fortune, no fame. But within 4 years those four men their lives they could not keep. The curse of the Silver King, so shall ye sow, so shall ye reap. One would die from heart attack, another on the ground. One would pass from the pox, one disappear, never found. Now out across the desert lies an old graveyard, a place long forgotten, a place that few would regard. At night in the darkness, spirit dance and sing, share with you their story about the curse of the Silver King, about the curse of the Silver King. Now as an old man, his health it did turn, and to his cache of gold he never would return. And in sickness, and to his bed confined, he tried to give directions to the location of his mind. But directions they were vague, the landscape complex, deep within the mountain, a needle in a haystack. Some would follow in his footsteps to try to find his gold. Their fever it burned so hot, but their love runs so cold. Now some would lose everything, many shunned the blame. A few would beg forgiveness, but they all would curse Dutchman's name. Ah, they would curse the Dutchman's name. Now, why do you think they called him the Lost Dutchman? He was never lost. He knew where the gold was. Everybody else got lost. Just saying. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make him drink. Well, I've heard all the stories now, and this is what I think. The treasure of these mountains lies not in gold. The treasure of these mountains is the beauty, great beauty that they hold. Ah, beauty that they hold, never to grow old. But the story still is told about Dutchmen gold. With a burlap bag upon his head with slots cut for the eyes. Simple but effective, this was his sole disguise. And though he bore no ill intent, no one ever run
continued with his sawed-off shotgun. Now Tommy was a patient man. He'd sit up on the ridge. When you got down close enough, he'd meet you at the bridge. Now never a shot he fired, no one ever hurt. And though they tried to catch him, they always come up short. Hacksaw Tom, craziest bandit you ever laid eyes on. With a burlap bag upon his head, with slots cut for the eyes. Simple but effective, this was his sole disguise. Now Tommy was not the ornery sort, never looking for a fight. And when he went to rob you, folks say he was polite. Well, he'd ask about the missus, wish you a fine day, then slap your horse on the rump, and he'd be on his way. Now tales of most banditos, they have a tragic end. One too many robbers, that seems to be the trend. But old Tom had a good run and a lucrative career. Then one day, without a trace, he up and disappears. Hacksaw Tom, craziest bandit you ever laid eyes on. With a burlap bag upon his head and a cannon in his hand, he'd rid you of your valuables, just as he had planned. I am not a lawless man, of crime I don't abide. But there was something about old Tom, this I must confide. Well, I hope he ended somewhere nice, greeting old age with grace, telling tales about his youth with a smile upon his face. Hacksaw Tom, craziest bandit you ever laid eyes on. Burlap bag upon his head and a cannon in his hand, he'd rid you of your valuables, just as he had planned. Down in the shallows, always on alert, always trying to hide in the shadows. Sometimes a cast is made close to the weeds, and now I understand just exactly where that leads. Now I'm looking for, yes, I'm looking for deeper waters. Now I'm looking for, yes, I'm looking for deeper waters. Sometimes the water's murky, and it makes it hard to see. All of those things that can do harm to me. But the moment is at hand, and I do not hesitate. With eyes on the prize, man, I quickly take the bait. Now I'm looking for, yes, I'm looking for deeper waters. Now I'm looking for, yes, I'm looking for deeper waters. Looking for, yes, I'm looking for deeper waters, yeah. Now I'm looking for, yes, I'm looking for deeper waters. Mr. James Gray on the bass. Sun comes up, dawn it was clear and bright. I looked up, I saw blackbird in flight. Watched that bird cut through the desert air. Soaring high, he flies without a care. Take me somewhere you want to go. Take me where time passes slow. Take me down to old Mexico. Old Mexico. Lately I've been feeling a little strange. It occurs to me, maybe time for a change. This restlessness, no one is to blame. It's just the scenery here is looking all the same. You and I, we need to feel the wind upon our face. Put a little distance between us and this red race. Take me somewhere you want to go. Take me where time passes slow. Take me down to old Mexico. Old Mexico. Old Mexico. This old town is feeling a little small. Old Mexico, old Mexico. Hey, I'd like to thank you all for coming out tonight, listening to our stories and our songs. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thanks to Dutchman for having us out. And Art, next time we'll do that fire and exotic dance will go with it, I'm sure. Anyway, thanks for being here and willing to do this. All right, James, buddy, take us home.